Thank you for listening to the Gateway to the Rockies podcast from Visit Aurora, from the Raptors of the Stanley Marketplace. This is the show dedicated to telling the stories of Aurora, Colorado. Hi there. I'm Dave, the Senior Marketing Manager for Visit Aurora. From championship layouts to an 18-hole executive course, the City of Aurora has a golf course for you. Professionally maintained, a great value, and open to everyone with all levels of play experience. Today, I'm excited to be joined by Karin, Rivale, Marketing Specialist for the City of Aurora, or as we call her, Kalo. How are you, Kalo?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I have to ask off jump, how much of your job is field work? I imagine you have to make sure often all the courses are, pardon the pun, up to par. Do you get out often?
I wish that I could do that, but I mean, I do get to play, but not as much as everyone would think. Now, I go out to the courses a lot to see what's going on and talk to people that are out there playing, but I don't get to play as much as I sure would like to. I'll be like, oh, you're playing today? How lucky are you?
Can you share a little bit about your journey? Was there an inherent love of like sports or golf in particular growing up?
You know, funny, I really didn't start playing golf until I was about 30, so half my life ago. And I just, I always loved golf and country music. So when I decided to get a real job in my life, I went the country music route. And when that changed, I decided that golf was going to be my next job, and I found the perfect job for me, and that was over 18 years ago.
Wow, congratulations on that. Take me through that a little bit. You get a business degree at Indiana. Where did your work take you from there? What was the goal for your career initially?
I don't know that I ever really knew. I think when I was younger, I wanted to be like Robin Roberts. I wanted to be a sportscaster. I thought that would be cool. So I've always loved sports. And when I graduated from college, I went to Europe for a couple of months and traveled around. And then I came back and decided to be a ski bum. So I moved out to Park City, Utah, and I stayed there. And just the journey took me, I got a job in radio down in Salt Lake City. And then I got transferred with that group from Salt Lake to Denver in 1999. And so in 2006, it was just time for a change. And they were hiring a marketing person at the City of Aurora for the golf division. And I'm like, I love golf and I do marketing, so how is that like the perfect connection? So I got the job, and like I said, it's been 18 years of working with Aurora Golf, which I love.
I want you to dive into that a little bit deeper. You're working in the broadcasting world, you've got a front row seat to how professional sports are operated. I mean, you work closely with the Denver Broncos and other important properties that Clear Channel / iHeart had under their umbrella. It's a little bit different what you do now, but I imagine there were some lessons that you took from your broadcasting time that helped you when you transitioned to marketing golf courses in Aurora, right?
Oh, yeah. With contests and things that we did, with the Broncos and the Rockies, we did a lot of stuff with them. And so you had connections too. I think probably the best part was the connections that I made with people. So then you could say, oh, maybe there's something we can do with the Colorado Rockies, or we did some stuff with the Rapids for a while, and where we would be on their big jumbotron and promoting kids golf or whatever out there. So I feel like a lot of it was mostly the connections that I had with people that I worked with through all those years at the radio stations.
What were some of the things that were difficult that you had to adjust to when you made that transition to the city?
I think the biggest thing was going from a public company to a municipality and just learning how things worked. They were definitely different. You've been in radio, you know how loosey-goosey things can get.
Oh, yeah.
You can go out and do things. And now everything, my first boss once said to me, if you don't want to see it on the cover of the Sentinel, don't do it. So, you just learn about things like that where you're like, okay, now you're really always looking at how does this promote the city and making sure that you're doing things the way you're in a fishbowl, basically. Right. You're in a fishbowl.
But it's great because you come from this ultra creative space where you can kind of do whatever, and then you find that you can craft that same energy into the scope of a municipality. Obviously a fun aspect of a municipality, but I imagine the flexibility. You came in, I imagine, with just a bunch of fresh ideas that were really kind of invigorating.
It was really fun. And I think they were all surprised, like, hey, we could try this and we could do this. And Well, one time we did, and you hate that somebody comes and say, well, when I was here, this is what we did. But you could say, what if we did this? This would be kind of fun. So I think you're right. I came in with a whole bunch of ideas, and it was neat and it was refreshing. And I think they were all like, oh my goodness, look what we can do. And I want to say it was probably good for golf in the metro area too, because as Mother always said, imitation is the best form of flattery. And if other municipalities start doing the things that you're doing, then maybe that was a good thing to do.
Let's call out some names. Who stole your ideas?
Oh no!
Looking at you, Greenwood Village.
A girl never tells.
Aurora is such a unique place, a great mix of big city energy, but with lots of open space. What makes Aurora such an ideal place to live, work, and play in your view?
It's funny, when I first moved here in 1999, I'm not going to lie, people were like, don't move to Aurora. And I did, and I'm one of those. My husband makes fun of me because I drink the Kool-Aid. I love the city of Aurora. Yeah. I think it's great. I think it's run really well, and the diversity and everything that we have to offer. I mean, and that's the same with our golf courses, right? Like, we have 5 great golf courses that all offer something different, but we have so much open space. I mean, I've said it before. I feel like sometimes we're like the redheaded stepchild of the metro area. Yeah. Like, look, watch out, we're coming, and we're big and we're great and we're doing cool things. And so I've always been a big fan, and I've lived here since 99. So I didn't listen to those people. I came here and I moved right into Aurora.
I've certainly drank the Kool-Aid as well. I find myself a vigorous defender of Aurora since I started working for Visit Aurora. I grew up in Northeast Denver, so I was always well acquainted with the area, but it's hard not to fall in love with the story of our city and the people. And we kind of are the little engine that could, to a degree. Delving into the golf courses, I kind of want to talk about each one a little bit.
Okay.
Aurora Hills, the original. It's right in the heart of the city at 50 South Peoria Street. It's a great value. It's highly walkable. This is the kind of course for any level of player, right?
Absolutely. I agree. It's an easy walk. It's pretty flat. Mm-hmm. So that, if you're trying to get some exercise along with, playing golf, I think that's great. And it's not, every golf course is challenging in its own way because the game of golf is challenging. Right. But I feel like Aurora Hills is a place where you could shoot low and feel really good about your game, And the rates are reasonable, so it's definitely a great place to go. We love families out there, and so I feel like it's a fun golf course. There's a lot of shade and trees too, so in the heat of the summer, that's also a nice, not as much as Meadow Hills, but it's a great place to be because you're not going to get super, super hot like you could out where there's no shade.
Best score you've shot there?
Oh, at Aurora Hills?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, now you're going to put me on the spot.
I'm going to challenge you on all these, by the way.
Yeah,
you could lie to me. I have no way of verifying.
I could. 65.
There you go.
Kidding. And everyone out there is going, yeah, right. I would say probably low 80s.
Okay, wow.
Oh, low 80s.
Wow. There's an added technological thing at Aurora Hills. What is Optimum Golf? Talk about that a little bit.
So Optimum Golf, so what we've done at some of our golf courses, because as we all know, staffing can tend to be a little bit of an issue, and we want to offer places where people can have lessons. And so if we don't have staff that can get outside to teach people to play golf, how are we going to expand the game? So Optimum Golf is a group that is at Aurora Hills that offers lessons. And like right now, this week, they have their junior camp. So Optimum Golf is running the junior camp for us. And so each golf course has a group that they bring in that helps with lessons.
Okay,
so
that's good to know. Spring Hill is at 800 North Telluride. It's an executive course, and if you're just dipping your toe in the game of golf, this is a great place to start. It's also gorgeous, and it's probably the ideal course for a quick 18 before lunch or for like a business lunch, right?
Absolutely. There's a couple of things about Spring Hill, affectionately known as Little Augusta. If you've ever watched the Masters or been lucky enough to go to the Masters, you'll look at the sign, like the directional signs. Chet's done a great job out there. But so many things about that one. There's not a lot of homes around the golf course, so it's really wide open, and so you feel like you're out in the country. There's horseback riding trails right next to it, so you could be walking along playing, and then there's some people riding horses, which kind of, again, like you said earlier, gives us a country feel in the city.
Yeah.
An executive course, for those of you that are not aware, that just means that the golf course is a little bit shorter, so there are 10 par 3s, which are the short holes. And so time-wise, it's great. If you don't have a lot of time, it plays a lot faster than some of the other golf courses. The thing about the thing that I love to say to people about Spring Hill is, you think it's a short course. Most people say executive course too easy, I don't want to play there. And I say, okay, I can shoot the same score at Saddle Rock as I can, which is one of our championship courses, as I can at Spring Hill. Because the holes are challenging, right? Some of the par threes are really long. And so you're like, okay, this was not as easy as I thought it was. Great for beginners. It's very unintimidating. And the other thing is, if you're a really good golfer and you need to work on that mid-range game, it's a great place to practice your iron shots.
Best score at Spring Hill?
Well, I can say in the 70s because it's a par 65. So I would say high 78 or 79 maybe.
But you're legit. That's impressive. Want to talk about Meadow Hills? 3609 South Dawson Street. It used to be a country club. It boasts some incredible views, really challenging play. The Denver Open used to be held back there, I believe, in the early 60s. It has small greens. It has tight fairways. You got to be more of a skilled player to kind of conquer this course, right?
So when I first moved here, I actually lived not far from Meadow Hills, to the point where I could walk. I would walk down the street with my push cart and my golf bag on to walk there. Meadow Hills is tree lined, so good and bad. In the fall, when the leaves fall, it definitely can sometimes, if you're not hitting it right down the fairway, give you a little bit of a challenge, but it's all about placement. You just say your shot placement is really important in Meadow Hills because the fairways are all pretty much tree lined. I'll say number 10 tee view of the mountains is one of the best that we have. And it's right by Cherry Creek Reservoir, so right kind of in the heart of town. But it is absolutely spectacular because it's really green and lush because there's so many trees around it. But it is definitely, you got to watch where you're hitting the ball.
Are you in the 70s at Meadow Hills?
Oh, heavens. You know what? That's funny. I will say no, but I know, again, low 80s. I might have shot 81 or 82 there, which to me, that's really pretty great.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm impressed. Murphy Creek is at 1700 South Old Tom Morris Road. It really captures the essence of Aurora. It's like taking a look back in time with kind of that rustic prairie motif, so to speak. What makes Murphy Creek so special in your eyes?
So Murphy Creek, wide open fairways, so you're not going to get into a lot of trouble with trees. There are a lot of bunkers, so again, shot placement can be important in that regard, but it's really wide open, but it's long. It's a really long course. Again, because it's out on the eastern plains, the views of the Rockies over there are spectacular. And then the really cool thing is you can get a really cool air show from Buckley Space Force Base.
Oh, nice.
Because they do the flyovers and stuff, and you'll be playing, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, what is happening up there? Which is really cool. That also happens at Spring Hill. So that's really neat. But I just think the views from out there are amazing. The front nine was wide open for a long time. We didn't have a lot of development going on. Now we're starting to see some housing development out there, but the course is spectacular. And we hosted the 2008 USGA Publinks, and that was, they don't do that event anymore, but we really prided ourselves on how well Aurora did for that tournament, and it was fun. And Ricky Fowler played in that tournament, which was kind of cool. Yeah. He was great. Billy Horschel played in that tournament when they were amateurs, so kind of a nice little, feather in their cap, if you will.
Best score at Murphy Creek?
I'm going to go mid-80s on that one.
She's playing humble on that one.
I know. I'm trying to remember. Jeez, I wish I could think about that, but...
Of course, Saddle Rock at 2170 East Arapahoe Road is, in my view, and a lot of people's view, kind of a crown jewel. It was named one of the 10 best new golf courses by Golf Digest when it opened in 1998 and was the home to the Colorado Open. The views are stunning. The course is challenging. In most other cities, this would be a private pro club. What does it mean to have such a renowned course open and available to the public?
I would say between Murphy Creek and Saddle Rock, they are definitely, like you said, the crown jewels. Saddle Rock, when people ask me, I always say it's like a mountain course in the city because there's a lot of elevation changes at Saddle Rock. And so, you get up to number 3 and the views of Pikes Peak are just spectacular. I mean, it's really amazing. So you're getting the challenge of elevation changes and side hill lies and views that are spectacular. I mean, that's, like I said earlier, one of the coolest things about the City of Aurora's golf group is that we have something for everybody. And I feel like we're so lucky because you can, you guys want to play Saddle Rock. That's definitely, and we're kind of excited because I'm going to say it. The Fan is doing their fan golf tour, and Saddle Rock is going to be one of the stops on their fan golf tour, which I think is kind of neat. So, they're not going to pick any run-of-the-mill golf course to to do with their group. So we're kind of excited about that.
And for those unaware, 104.3 The Fan is a local sports station here in town, and they've been doing this golf tour for several years. It's got quite a reputation, so that's a big deal to have it at Saddle Rock.
We're excited about that.
All of these courses have PGA pros on staff. What role do they play in the success of the courses, and how important is it to have that expertise on hand?
Well, first and foremost, I think when you go play at a golf course, you expect to have the best of the best, and you expect to have a professional that's there. So they're the ones that work with hand in hand with the superintendent to make sure that the golf course is the best that they can offer. They're the ones that bring the merchandise into the shops to make sure that they're offering everything that you want. And I think, you have an expectation of knowing that the people that are in charge know what they're talking about. So they go through all these programs and all the schooling, and they are really great players. I think it's really important, and I'll just sidetrack for a minute. One of the things that I think is so great about Aurora's golf group is that our superintendents and our professionals are all players. They still play. A lot of them are really good competitors. As a matter of fact, Karin at Meadow Hills just went down and tried to get into the PGA Championship. So this is like, they all play really well. And I feel like there's an added, you're going to go and you're going to be able to tell, like, the superintendents, the way they take care of the golf course, the way they set the golf course up, working hand in hand with the head pros. They care about it. You could tell because they're players, they see it from a different perspective.
Forgot to ask you, what was your score at Saddle Rock?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm still going to say mid to high 80s, like 87, 88, maybe 85.
She gets more and more humble.
I know. Well, they're harder. They get harder and harder.
So personally, I'm a newbie when it comes to golf. I've played real golf that didn't involve a windmill once in my life, and I shot a 75. And then they told me I had 9 more holes to go. I can get lessons, though, at these courses, right?
You can. And as you said a little bit earlier, you were talking about Optimum Golf. All of the golf courses offer lessons, and there are different types of lessons that you can have. There's a great program for beginners called Get Golf Ready. It's like a series of 5 lessons, really from the ground up. Because people don't know, like, what do I do when I get to the golf shop? I walk into the golf shop, they're nervous. What do I do? Where do I go? Yeah. How do I check in? So those lessons are great because they get you started from the basics all the way into even how to hold the golf club. And then you can do private lessons, you can do group lessons. One of the things that I always think is great, if you have a buddy that you're interested in playing with, and this is just my opinion, I think it's great to take a semi-private lesson, and here's why. If you go out on the driving range and you get a lesson and you're being taught to do something, you do it while they're watching you, and you're good at it.
Yeah.
Right. And then you go out and you try to do it on your own, like, oh my God, what did he tell me?
It's not quite the same.
So if you have a semi-private lesson, which would be a little cheaper because you're splitting it. So you're on the driving range, Bob helps you with something, and then he says, you practice, and I'm going to go over talk to your friend and work with them. So now you're doing it without him watching you. And are you doing it the way he told you to? Then when he comes back to you, you can say, well, when I was doing it, it was kind of going a little bit left. And then he'll come and say, well, that's because you're doing da 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 da. So I love the idea of the semi-private because I think you kind of get really a good value.
Just a quick aside on the psychology of the sport. So much of it is muscle memory. Do you ever feel like you're a good golfer and the golf gods or whatever kind of correct you immediately? Is it a constant struggle in the career of a golfer?
Well, I would say at my level, my tagline is I'm consistently inconsistent, right? So, those guys, they're good. They know what they're doing and they know what they're doing wrong and can fix it. But yeah, it's definitely the golf gods. They work in mysterious ways. It never fails that on 18, you're going to have a great shot.
Right.
So that you're like, oh, I'm going to come back and do this again. That was really fun. But I feel like for sure there are times when you feel like when you get the swing down in the shot and you're like, this should not be that hard. I should be able to do this over and over again the same way. Well, I'm sorry, that just doesn't seem to work, And you say practice makes perfect. What I learned once was practice makes permanent. So if you practice and you get that swing down, then you're going to have less problems. But, those golf gods, they're up there doing their thing.
You might have to recuse yourself on this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Do you have a favorite course, and are you allowed to play favorites?
So I love when people ask me that question because I say it's like a mother of 5 children. You definitely have a favorite.
I mean, Coach Prime has a ranked, so
I haven't gotten there. I'm just going to be really diplomatic and say each of them have something that I love, and if I have a favorite child, I will not say it.
You're not even necessarily being diplomatic. You're right. Each comes with its own set of positives that make them appealing to whatever level of golf that you're playing, which is a beautiful thing to have in a city, this array of properties for any skill level. Speaking of, having an array of properties to highlight, how do you approach that in your marketing? Do you promote them individually, or overall, do you promote the city golf experience?
So that's an interesting question, because before COVID, when golf was maybe struggling a little bit, we would look at which courses needed maybe a little bit more push. Some of them definitely were busier than others. And so then we would focus on, maybe one year we did a campaign, say on Spring Hill, and we're really trying to push the fact that it's a great place for beginners. And so we would look at it that way. There are also campaigns that you do that just sort of incorporate all 5. Right now, I would say, thankfully, the state of golf is in good hands, and we saw an amazing growth during COVID, and it just seems like it's still there. So we're riding the high while we can. There are times when you really are just maybe talking more about golf in general, or like one of the things that we offer that's valid at all 5 golf courses. So right now, I would say we are really more focused on, as a whole, all of Aurora golf.
Who do you see as the ideal visitors for these courses, and how do you reach out to them?
So just all sorts of different things. We just did Friday, we are going to do some advertising in movie theaters, because we have a program called Kids Golf Free.
Okay.
And so we did a little 15-second spot of a boy and his dad going into the counter, and the kid pulls out all of his money, change and bills to pay for and then the girl behind the counter says, hey, Kids Golf Free every day after 2 at all 5 golf courses. Nice. So, that's something that we focus on, families or children, trying to say, first of all, how do we grow the game? What areas do we need to look at and reach, right? Obviously, children. And if we can do it in a way that doesn't break the bank for the families, we reach out to families. I think there's great diversity in golf. We could say, okay, how many women are playing golf? Are we looking at women, and can we figure out a way to get that? Can we touch those groups? What's the best way to get with those? I'm not going to lie. Right now, we are really full, which is a blessing to have. So maybe the campaigns are a little bit different right now, because we're in a good spot.
To piggyback off that a little bit, in the world of marketing, and this better than anybody, it's always a challenge to reach that new consumer. The new generation is always so elusive, whether it was the Gen Xers or the Millennials, and now the Gen Zs, and what's the next one? Generation Alpha, I guess that's on the way. Do you employ any tactics that specifically are aimed towards Gen Z and the younger audience? I'm thinking of your junior golf camps, things like that. But do you have specific tactics to try to allure to a new demographic like that?
I think just a lot of it are the programs that we offer that are maybe for, we have the PGA Junior League, which is up to 17. The Kids Golf Free is up to 17. The mid-20s, you're right, that's a tough group to get at.
Unless they're booking.
Unless they're booking. I mean, I guess, what is Alpha? Is that 20 something? I'm old, you gotta.
I'm not sure what the line is. I just know that's the next one in line, I've been told.
Okay.
Got to figure that out. How does it work for the nonprofits or the organizations that are trying to host a tournament at one of the properties? I see there's an ability to attempt that online. How does that process work?
If you're in Aurora, obviously we need to do some things that are suited for Aurora. We do a half price tournament every year that each golf course offers once a year. And so if you're a nonprofit based in Aurora, you can sign up online to be in the drawing to win that tournament. So you get a half price tournament. The other ones, really, I think it's not something that what we do is we offer the tournament, and our head pros, this is another place where their expertise comes in, can help them with ideas on how to raise money. Okay. So here's a great example, and this is always so fun. Every year, Aurora Hills does a breast cancer awareness tournament. Play for Pink, I think, was what they called it last year. And one of the things that they do is they have one of our pros, you have to pay him to take his drive.
Okay.
And well, they just happen to have a guy that works in the maintenance shop that was a long drive champion.
Nice.
So if you're aware of Aurora Hills, number 2 is a par 5, nice and straight, long down the fairway. So he stands on the tee and he says, if you want me to hit your drive, you pay whatever the money is, and all the money goes to charity. So, and he hits the ball a long way.
Sure
So the ladies are like, oh yeah, it would take them like 2 to get to his drive. So I think that's really fun. I mean, I think that's the way that they help them raise money for their charities. And then of course it's how they pay for the tournament.
How do you collect and use feedback from golfers to help kind of improve the overall experience at the courses?
Every time you play, if you book your tee time online, you put your email in. After you play, we send them a survey.
Nice.
And so then the manager will go through, we all can go through the surveys and look at what's said. Probably the biggest thing at probably every golf course would be pace of play. So how do you work with the marshals to work on that? But the way that we sort of entice them to fill out the survey, because everyone's tired of everything that they get in their inbox, right? Yeah. So we take all of the emails. As a matter of fact, I'm working on that today. And at the end of every month, we do a drawing and we give them a foursome to their choice of our golf courses.
Oh, how cool.
So we're giving one away every month. So hopefully, as we go through those, surveys, and we can look at those and we talk about them in our staff meetings, like what can we do to improve this? And, we're always trying to improve everything, even just check-in, right? Like how do we get the check-in process smoother, or the phone calls? And we all know staffing is hard these days, right? Yeah. So now the phone's ringing and you're trying to check people in. So I think that we just are looking at those surveys to see if we can help make things better.
In recent years, Mayor Kaufman has talked about conservation of resources, particularly water. What are some of the sustainability and green initiatives that the city's golf courses participate in?
Again, I'll just say how fantastic our superintendents are. They work on ways, they look at the playability of the golf course, which means where can we maybe take some of the grass out and put natural grasses or things that don't require as much water. And I think they're great. So they look at that. That's part of what they do, is figuring out, well, you know what, if we kind of change the direction of this one or move this over here and we take out the grass here or we put something different over here, the irrigation systems now are so high tech that they can figure out how to make the best use of the water that they have.
And I imagine just those small changes over time can save thousands of gallons of water just through these little tweaks that scientifically are being used to make the courses as efficient as possible.
And I think that's absolutely true. And again, with irrigation system, and I'm not an expert, nor do I play one on TV, but they, the guys can see, like, say there's a sprinkler head that's broken. All right, now, they can see that and fix that right away so that now there's not water being wasted over there, or, if that makes sense.
You have a really fun promotion going on right now for people who want to get an extra 18 holes in. The replay rate is a great chance for golfers to get that extra 18 in at a steep discount. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. And, that's so funny because we just posted that yesterday. And I thought about it because on the news I watched, they're like, hey, daylight, we have like 18 hours of daylight right now. And I'm like, oh, yeah, 18 hours of daylight, more golf.
That's right.
So basically, if you book a tee time and you play 18 holes and you're like, well, I played really good, I need to go play some more, you can replay at another golf course or the same golf course for the 9-hole rate. The only stipulation is you can't book it. So you can't say, I'm going to book 9 o'clock here and then 2 o'clock here.
Right.
It's all on space availability. So you can now say you go to Aurora Hills and you play in the morning and you're like, heck, I want to pop over to Spring Hill and see if I can play. If you take your receipt and go over there and there's availability, you can get it at that golf course. So it's kind of cool if, not 18 holes isn't enough for one day.
Yeah. That's quite the day in and of itself. But if you love golf, I mean, why not save half on your second round if you can? That's great. How do you change up your marketing strategies with the different seasons, and particularly when the winter months come? What do you do when that happens?
Looking at the state of Colorado and the weather in Colorado, I think fall golf is the best because I think the weather is great. The trees are beautiful. The scenery is great. It's not quite as hot. So when you look at marketing in the fall, you say, it's the best time to play golf. The weather's great. In the winter, it's really interesting. I think people, when they are visiting Colorado, they may have this idea that there's snow on the ground all winter. Right? Like, oh, you're in the mountains. It must be cold and snowy all the time. And the reality is our golf courses are open year round, weather permitting. So luckily for us, if we get snow, say on a Monday, it could be by Wednesday you're playing golf again. And I will also say about our staff, there are times when they will be out shoveling the snow off the greens to open because there's a lot of pent up desire to play golf in the winter. So, you just kind of talk about the fact that, hey, don't forget we're open year round, weather permitting. And my goodness, you could have a 50-degree day in January with a blue sky and it's perfect golf weather. Now, mind you, the ball might go really far because the ground might be hard. So the roll, you're going to get a lot of extra roll, which would be awesome.
What are you excited about that's coming up? Any projects for the future of Aurora's golf courses that you're really excited for?
I'm excited for some campaigns that we're doing this summer, again, with 104.3 The Fan. We have Zach By and Phil Lindsay, who is a local Aurora kid that used to play for the Broncos.
CU as well.
And CU Buffs. Yep. He is also sort of picking up golf. We've been using Zach By for the last few years because he, during COVID, found a love of golf. He was a basketball guy. Yeah. Now he's like addicted. He has that bug, right? So we're doing a lot of stuff with them this summer. Our junior camps and programs are getting ready to go. One of the fun things that I think is great, I can't do it anymore because my kid's out of college now, but we have this PGA Junior League, and it's so fun to walk down the fairways with your kids while they're playing in this little tournament, and they're playing as a team, so it's not as intimidating for them.
Yeah.
And that's getting ready to start. So I think all those, watching the little juniors on the driving range in their camps is really fun. So all that stuff is getting ready to start because summer, is school out? It probably is just getting out right now. So absolutely. We're gearing up for summer stuff.
Kalo, you only have 9 hours of sunlight left. I'm going to let you go so you can get on the link, okay?
Oh, I wish I could. Thanks. Thanks for having me.
That was Karin, Rivale, marketing specialist for the City of Aurora. You can learn more about the city's amazing golf courses and book your tee times at golfaurora.com. And make sure to follow on Facebook at Aurora Golf. Thank you for listening to the Gateway to the Rockies podcast. Visit Aurora is the official destination marketing organization for the City of Aurora, Colorado, and acts as the primary liaison between meeting planners and hotel partners. As Aurora's Convention and Visitors Bureau, Visit Aurora's mission is grounded in showcasing Aurora as a premier destination for meetings, business, and leisure travel. Visit Aurora represents more than 75-plus hotel properties with 13,500-plus guest rooms and more than 1 million square feet of meeting space, including Colorado's largest resort, Gaylord Rockies Resort and Convention Center. As Colorado's third largest city, Aurora is located minutes away from Denver International Airport and showcases mountain views, memorable meeting spaces, and 250-plus international eateries that offer a unique experience for each and every visitor. As the gateway to the Rockies, Visit Aurora's role in the local community goes beyond marketing the city as a destination. The Visit Aurora team is here to assist you with your Colorado visit, from facilitating your meeting, event, or convention to helping you discover local flavor and attractions. Go beyond the boardroom in Aurora, Colorado. For more, visit us at visitaurora.com.